that when they die, you can still make contact with their spirits, with their souls. They can be summoned. In fact, these are the demons in the New Testament Bible, these are the demons that possess people. This is the origin of demons in Hebrew cosmology. So there's this pervasive idea, again, especially in the ancient Near East, that dead giants can be communicated with and can possess living human beings, their spirits. And so you have a cult of giants in the ancient Near East, especially among the Canaanites. And the Canaanites, they had actually there's various customs and rites related to giants, but one of the specific ones that we know about is called Kispam, the rite of Kispam. And there's a fantastic book written by my friends Derek and Sharon Gilbert called Veneration, where they detail the rite of Kispam and this idea of making contact with the spirits of dead giants and the veneration of giants. And the rite of Kispam was practiced, broadly speaking, in the ancient Near East, but specifically among the Amorites and other Canaanite clans as well. And what they would do is they would hold a feast, and then they would invite the dead to come and join them at the feast. So this was a necromantic rite. And they would evoke the dead, and they believed that the dead would come and eat with them. Now, the kings, and specifically the Amorites, they would invoke the spirits of the mighty ones, the great ones, the giants of old, the Rephaim. The biblical account names various different clans of giants.
One of the things that happens
during and after the conquest
is a trend toward department stores. We got the first Sears in the suburban shopping area in the United States. That was a terrific victory because it really meant that we had to drive.
My dad started our store in 1954. After he came home from the war, he was working in a cigar store, and he was a partner in a cigar store. At that time, there were a lot of cigar stores in downtown Kansas City. He wanted to break away from downtown. And I think he saw some upside to it. At the same time, Tibbles left that same building, the Altman building downtown, and came to the
And it was all because of the automobile. People who lived in Mission Hills, in the country club district of Missouri and Kansas, why would they drive all the way downtown to shop when they have to drive by the plaza to get downtown?
It's like my father said, if you don't have people living downtown, then you have a 9-to-5 economy down there. So if you're a retailer or a restaurateur, that won't work for you. So a lot of people saw the plazas as an opportunity to
summoning, specifically by name, summoning dead giants, the Rephaim. And the idea is to summon them and then to become empowered by their spirits, their possessing spirits. Again, this goes back to the tradition of Enoch, that the giants, when they die, their spirits are in sort of a state of suspended animation, and they can be revived. They can be resurrected, as it were, and can be made to inhabit the bodies of human beings. So there's this ancient cult that existed in the ancient Near East and other parts of the world. And it's associated with the cult of Baal. So you have Baal, the giants are thought of as the warriors of Baal. So today we know that the cult of Baal persists.
The universe and bring us
throughout the store by either security, off-duty police officers, or staff. So I mean that was my experience as an adult. I was on the police department at the time, but I never had a chance to patrol that area because that was off limits for black police officers during my tenure at the police department in 1954 to 1964.
That begins to break down because of demonstrations that occur in a variety of places in Kansas City as elsewhere in the 1960s. And I'm sure that to some degree the riot of 1968 is something of a demarcation point
on this as well.
I recall that there were attempts by some of the folks who were engaging in the civil unrest to come to the plaza, and they certainly blocked that, and most of the rioting actually took place in the inner city on the Prospect area, 31st Street area.
Miller was clearly beside himself with regard to that. He got the governor to literally put tanks on the east edge of the plaza.
But also, one of the commanders of the police department had assured the
that you have incredibly powerful, wealthy people that don't want to be exposed as being perverts and whatever the fuck they were up to. And there's all the weird shit with beef jerky and pizza. You know, there's these very strange references that seem to not be talking about beef jerky. Not, it's some kind of code.
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that he brought an enormous amount of sulfuric acid, like right after he was indicted, to the.
Bit of a subversive feel that I had on the plaza. And at the time that I was in high school during the 60s, I graduated in 1969, the plaza was a totally different place than it is now. I remember the plaza as being kind of the downtown experience for urban kids.
It was certainly a volume of local merchants, you know, without a doubt.
We had a movie theater, we had a Woolworths on the plaza.
There was Pooch's 210 and Pooch's Cafeteria, and there was a bowling alley.
Bowling alley.
There was a bowling alley.
I had some reprobate friends that would steal the bowling balls out of the bowling alley, and then they go up to the top of Cornell Hill, south of the plaza, and let them roll down the hill.
Many Kansas Cityans awakened Tuesday morning unaware their city had experienced a disaster.
We got 11 inches of rain in about 3 hours. I mean, it was coming down in buckets.
A wall of water, like 5 foot high, came rolling down, Ward Parkway and slammed right into Plaza 3. There were people still in there eating.
And if you think about it, you were on the plaza in 5 feet, almost 6 feet of water.
The parking garages had like 10 feet of water because it just found the garage went straight, came rolling down, Ward Parkway and slammed right into Plaza 3. There were people still in there eating.
And if you think about it, you were on the plaza in 5 feet, almost 6 feet of water.
The parking garages had like 10 feet of water because it just found the garage went straight down into it. It started a bunch of gas fires. There was, I think, like 60% or more of the businesses, like 150 businesses that were damaged by the flood. I mean, it was really a mess. Stuff everywhere, cars that were pushed up against the buildings.
So we drove into the plaza. We were on the south side of the roof. So it's about 3 doors down from our store. As we drove by that, a memory that I have is a car that was half in and half out of the plate glass windows. That's not what got me. It was the car on top of that building that really stuck with me.
Well, the flood is the reason I ended up running for public office, because 20 people died, including a minister who I knew, and I remember a group of us sitting around talking about the plaza, and people were telling me, well, it floods like this all the time, but never this bad. And I said, man, this is crazy. Somebody ought to do something. He said, well, you live here now. Why don't you do something?
Historical context. And of course, it's anecdotal, but how much anecdotal evidence just, at one point does anecdotal evidence just become evidence when it's so pervasive all over the world? So, as I was traveling around the world studying giants and researching this topic and investigating different stories and legends, I went to Malta, which is very interesting. Obviously, lots of legends of giants in Malta associated with the megaliths. And then I kind of hit ground zero for giants, which is the island of Sardinia. And the island of Sardinia is located west of Rome. It's part of Italy. It's in the Western Mediterranean, below Corsica. And many people don't realize this about Sardinia. Sardinia has the highest, has the most megaliths anywhere on Earth. It has the highest concentration of megaliths anywhere that I know, as far as I'm aware. There are these massive megalithic towers